Hello, I'd like to welcome the readers of Pro Nature Photographer back today. Joining us again is David Muench for another conversation. And today we're going to discuss his portfolio, the Eastern Sierra Nevada. So welcome back, David.
Thank you very much, Charlie. This is one of my favorite all-time landscapes. The Sierra landscape is, to me, it's whenever I go back there, it's like a homecoming. I feel like I was born in a granite rock on the east side Sierra. I learned early, and growing up, did pack trips with my folks up in the Sierras, Kings Canyon, Sequoia Parks, the high country, all the way up the Sierras to Yosemite. But always this was a drawing card to me, was the granites in the Alabama hills, an older range than the Sierras themselves, but then the drama of the uplift, the great facade of the Sierras in the Alabama hills area from below Lone Pine to Bishop. On this first image, what I'm seeing here is the drama that surrounds Lone Pine Peak is right out front and seems to be the highlight of the front range, but of course is over 12,000 feet, almost 13,000 feet, whereas the 14ers are right behind, including Whitney to the right, and we'll see it later. The drama around this side, because the storms come from the west and southwest in California, this is actually the beginning of the shadow for the desert. And so the drama of East Side for photography is dramatic. It's just fantastic. I did presented to Senator Feinstein the possibility of a national monument here, and it has been worked on to probably end up being a national scenic area, but it was called the Alabama Hills, East Side Sierra, and I just love it. I wish it could be completely preserved area, but there are other facets to there's the motion picture industry, which has had great roots here. It's just a fabulous place for backgrounds for old movies, television things, and for me it has been strictly and it's the drama, especially at sunrise. Winter sunrises have been the drama, and I get quite mesmerized by it. And of course it's great examples of light, and especially in the winter months, the late fall months, I find very rewarding and powerful.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a popular location for photographers and the film industry for sure. And you've spent enough time there. You've found some pretty special places. And I think we'll see some of that coming up.
I start quite well back in time. Yes, I feel like I was born in, like I said, out of a boulder back there, but of course not. Yes, I've located arches that are in the granite and forming in the round rocks. They readily form, and they lend great compositions to the mountains behind. So this is a dramatic place, and this is what I enjoy working. I found places and there were places I have camped in there that I've gone back to. It's like returning home. They're just very special places.
Right. One of our next images is an arch that you've photographed quite a bit.
Yes, this one has been kind of elusive to the photography world. I started with it in the 70s, 1970s somewhere, that I did a 4x5 film shot right up on this rock through the arch at the Sierras. And this one is a digital image from back a ways a little bit, and telephoto, trying to, of course, capture a sharpness in both the arch and the mountain. And it's, of course, the winter design helps. It is not pure snow, but of course you have wind with a snowstorm, so you have, and the melting, it's kind of a design with Mount Whitney, of course, your star performer in the lower 48. And again, my favorite time is in winter, so this exemplifies it. But it's quite a near-far kind of an image to make it place it and give it a spirit of place. and yet have your big icon as part of it. I like doing that.
Right. Now, I have a technical question for you. In comparing the 4x5 with digital these days, are you finding the challenge of carrying focus a little more difficult or a little easier?
Essentially, with f8 and f11 aperture priority on the cameras, the Panasonic cameras and a couple of the Canon cameras, I'm actually getting a depth of field if I just hold still. When they're so bright like this, though, I don't even need to put it on a tripod.
Right.
These are handheld. But essentially, you should use a tripod and really hone in on the focus. But I spent most of my career working with a tripod and the 4x5. So it's kind of a release for me to be able to spontaneously photograph things I see and still have a depth of field. No, I am.
Oh, yeah.
I am quite happy, and I thought f11 or f8 would be a big hindrance to my work, and all of a sudden I started doing the same things, and even automatic focus with aperture priority would really cover it.
Yeah.
To my satisfaction. I'm not saying it's perfect.
Right.
But before, with the 4x5, with this kind of a thing, I would have used a 500 millimeter lens and probably f90
Yeah.
to do this.
Right. Yeah, there's another benefit of the digital technology, just lighter here.
It's there. It's there and improving all the time. So pretty soon we won't have any excuses.
Sure. Okay, now we're up higher in the Sierra.
This is not an ancient, but an old 4x5. I think I have to check the date, but it was probably in the 70s or 60s. This is Mount Langley looking north to Mount Whitney along the east side crest. Mount Williamson is off to the right in the distance, flat-topped. Again, off-season, a little bit of September snow. Camped up, slept up there, and was ready to go early and late. This one is middle of the day because of after a storm. And I really, the composition here is very important to me. That's very much the top up on the left up there, top rock. And I feel very good doing it. And even though carrying 4x5 up there was no problem, it's done on a tripod and with a moment in time that is, to me, is very important. It's the weather that maybe only a short time, but can show what happens on these ridge tops. It's part of my top rock portfolio also.
Yeah. Speaking of the weather, did you ever find yourself purposely seeing a storm coming in off the California coast and decide you're going to jump in and take off and go photograph, or did just good things happen when you were out and about?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. I have picked, in fact, coming up, well, where we are now here in Oregon, I have planned a certain timing in the year for flowers and waterfalls to run. Well, this happens other places. I kind of plan a timing I carry quite a bit of baggage in my head as to timing, times a year, times of the week, month, but primarily times of the day to offer the most dramatic light. And I have watched storms, especially when I lived in California here, go over and then go to the Grand Canyon, for instance, following it for snow.
Sure.
On the rims. Then there are other times where being on the tops of peaks can be a hindrance in summer because you have storms that can be nasty and you have to be prepared for them. But I personally like to photograph in those, but I do not really like to do day hikes because you just go up and come back. Right. I like to be in the place for early light and late light as possibilities, but maybe it's the middle of the day that can be like this is the storming with a little bit of light at the right time and being patient with it and wait for it can be. So it's all very working with Mother Nature is quite loose. But yes, I do plan ahead for storms and clearings. And the fog that comes with clearings can be extremely ambient.
Well, I love this. I love the large foreground. And tell us about that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a drama queen here, but it's really muscular granite boulders, part of an ancient range with your icon up there. And of course, the time is right after a storm, just clearing with a whisking of wind, blowing plumes across the top. So you have a sense of time, really like that. And feel quite at home with this kind of a thing because they're rounded boulders. They signify a long time of wearing and tearing and excitement. But essentially, it's the light creating form of these boulders that makes it really sing for me.
Yeah, very dramatic. Now, is this the arch we saw previously, or?
No, this is a different arch. It's what they call, or could be called, and maybe has a different designation now, but is triple arch with a spur of Whitney is up in the clouds, so it's a spur coming off Lone Pine Peak. But again, winter timing in the morning, my favorite kind of quality, and using it as a window and enjoying a frame within the picture frame excites me very much to place it. And of course, there again, it's the winter drama of light that makes the picture. It gives it a three-dimensional quality that I think is a major part of my seeing. I like to see, I want to work with things close and then something in the far distance, which is natural connections in my portfolio of natural connections. And that kind of gives a hint here of what I was all about.
Okay, this is just a different angle, I believe.
This is triple arch looking toward the Inyo Mountains. That's Keenot Peak behind with Bristlecone on it. And again, in a winter morning mood, just a different angle. This arch presents so many different angles and croppings. Sometimes it's nice just to back off and let it be what it is from that angle. A little bit back, a little bit of a foreground of snow on another boulder, just like on a horseback. Not intruding, not trying to be three-dimensional, but again, giving a different sense of things we start to see an awful lot in photographs, and that is looking toward the Sierras. This is just looking east. So it, and again, in subtle light of winter cloudiness, which I like that too. I really like to work with that kind of light.
You're up pretty high then, I'm guessing.
No, I'm almost on a granite ground level, looking over the back. That's why I mentioned horseback. It looks like it's on the back of looking over, but the rock is only about maybe 6-8 feet high, and I just got up high, standing high against a rock behind me, and let that be a base. It isn't the bottom, but it's just kind of a base, and the arch designs drop into this lower part of the foreground, which kind of gives me a completion of a composition there. It's right in the middle where it ends up, but that adds drama.
Looks like you might have snowshoed a little bit too, or it looks like it's deep snow.
It was no, this isn't. I've never had to. I've had a couple times when it was a foot deep, but I never would consider that a trap for me to have snowshoes. Up in the Sierras, that's completely different. I've done snowshoe trips, but this one has never, all through my whole career and all the visits here, I've never had to do that. It barely snows down below that often.
Well, yes, I saw the snow line on the very first image, and I'm thinking the mountain's covered, but doesn't
come down. It's about 3,800 there. And it can be below, just like Yosemite Valley. It can be tricky to get snow down that level. It seems to want to be up higher. And it's slim over there. This is in the shadow of the Sierras.
Okay. Bristlecone pines. I know that's one of your favorites. And, of course, beautiful light here.
This is why you wonder why this is in the Sierra, East Side Sierra portfolio. What it is a dawn with one of my favorite and a lone, beautiful, sculpted, younger bristlecone actually than some of the other trees that are notoriously older. But the key here was the earth shadow showing the blue line across the middle of the tree. Coming in the background, the sky is the earth shadow coming down at dawn. And of course, you have the Palisades of the Sierras. This is the Palisade Range, and I believe Split Mountain along the range. So this is a view from a little bit of a distance, but connects with one of my favorite subjects, is the bristlecone.
Very nice. Moonrise?
This is a Moonset.
Moonset.
On one of the, it's an innocuous name peak. I don't know the name of it, but one of the peaks, and just the drama of a moonset at dawn. Actually, what it is sunrise, not dawn. And the moon just going down, and tried to pick a place by running along the country there, the terrain, and try and let it slide. It would slide down this mountain on the left and just come right in where it did. And I chose one image that I feel where it connects with the planet, and I like that. Yeah,
right. Yes, perfect timing, and we know about running to get it just right. Is this a 4x5 with the 500 on?
No, this is a digital image.
Okay.
This is digital just a few years ago, maybe 2005, 2007 maybe. With exposure, trying to get it well underexposed because it's the right time. This is exactly the time I call it the change of the guard. The right timing. It isn't a double image or something where you enhance it. That is the way the camera and the eye saw it. The detail was nice in the moon. You didn't have to do any manipulation of any kind. It's straight shot.
Yeah. And so what you're describing is the mountain light was perfect as far as exposure, and your moon didn't blow out because of the timing.
Oh, that's so easy to do. And
Yeah.
blowing out, I really don't like that. I have a hard time with that. So it's just timing. This one's timing, not a double exposure or any kind of manipulation, other than making it possibly a little darker than the eye saw it. The whole image has more density in it. Yeah.
Perfect timing, as you say. Okay, now we've got a little bit of winter storm coming in, and a different arch.
This is actually the second image. Is the same arch. It's kind of it's sort of a hidden arch that I found back in the 70s and did a 4x5 of, and it has been a favorite, and I revisited it here starting about 2005 or so, and recording it. It stars right there with the designs and the diagonals of Lone Pine Peak, and of course then trying to be at the right place at the right time has been fun, finding all the different moods that go on with. This is in the middle of a snowstorm, and of course the shadow of the Sierras stops the storms right on the crest, sort of, at this point in time. So they're breezing by with snow flurries floating through, and this gives an atmosphere that, again, drama. This is the drama thing. But you notice the depth of field is pretty good with this boulder in front. Is fairly sharp, so can't really complain. The drama is still there, and much more spontaneous for me working this than with the 4x5 film when I had to. But I could do pretty well with it. But this is digital, probably 2005 or 7, somewhere in there.
And it's the type of show we want when we get to the Eastern Sierra. I mean, their storms still give you some light.
The light is so dramatic, and again, a little backlit that helps some more too. So it's translucent or transparent through moods, and the light breaks through and catches different clouds, rims the rocks where the snow may be blowing off. It does different things that it's all about light, and and being there at certain times and being patient for waiting for some of these things to go on, and they could be 1 minute and they're gone.
Right.
And this is one of those.
Yeah. That gets back to that running to get to the right spot.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about this one. This is very dramatic.
Well, this is just a timing again. I love the sunrises, so here we are again with a sunrise, a mood of a passing little lenticular, maybe not lenticular, but just a mood cloud floating by Whitney, giving it some character, touching the planet, and you have here Mount Whitney with just a stripe of light at sunrise. And again in winter, so you have a side dramatic kind of light, which gives again a timed situation. Also, I call it a timeless, because it's done this for eons. But I like it because it's just a split second image. The light is contained within it. It isn't something that's just beautifully lit and then we go on. It's just a moment in time that I relish when I come to them. But
sure.
You have to be there.
Well, you have a sliver of light that's lighting, I guess you could say, the most important part of the subject.
Yes, it's the light. It's a story of the light.
Right. Are you in the backcountry here?
No, this is telephoto from out below, not too far away, but this again simulates being actually right in there. It's a little difficult to photograph Whitney, and some people have done it. There's good photographers have been in close,
right
up in there, Lone Pine Lake, and right in there. But you're kind of you're really in it. You're really involved in it. This is getting involved with it with telephoto, and it tends to give a different structure of spacing,
right,
and forms, and they rise up. And you flatten out the plane a little bit, and so you get the height is accentuated, so that you have Mount Whitney is kind of tending to be in the back behind. It's like Mount Evans in Colorado. It tends to sit back there and pretty arrogant in a way,
right,
elusive too.
Yeah.
So with telephoto, you can sit back and bring it up to its power and strength of shape and form.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and again, as you mentioned, kind of the magic moment that we all hope happens when we're out there.
Yeah.
Are we looking east now or north?
No, we're looking north and a little bit west, but mostly north.
Okay.
From in the Alabama hills, also in a barrel cactus has been literally plastered with snow. The ranges, the Sierras behind under clouds, is just a sliver of light is happening. May have snowed that next whole day, but I just found the light really was, and that was being out very early in winter. It was quite early, but this is so rewarding. Again, a timeless moment and dramatic. And that seems, I'm always inspired to capture these dramatic moments in the Sierras.
Yes, very nice. Okay, so here we are, looking like it's more like fall.
Yes, this is it is. You're correct in the fall image or impression is with rabbit brush has an autumn tone to it, gives the sense of yellow, which is quite prominent. Some years the rabbit brush just looked like the whole desert is an autumn flowering, is what you might call it. The Sierras have a small layer, not a small, a delicate layer of snow already, and of course storm clouds give it the drama again. We have the drama light, but the light is what we're talking about here. It's a light situation, and I think it accentuates very nicely.
Yes, and it's winter's coming on because we got some fresh snow. Another storm.
Yes, yes. I seem to find a few storms in this country because it's. I can be bored so easily with the straight scenes that we've seen before, and it does relinquish the granite facade and the granite forms in the Sierras when you do middle of the day or with no storms around, and that's pretty. It's relaxing, but I find it boring. So I'm looking for these dramatic moments. and of course also print for that too, without any tricks or any elusive qualities, just straight on and try and print it to match what you saw.
Oh, right. Okay, we've seen this arch before, but boy, this is again another different time and very dramatic.
It's another moment in time,
Mm-hmm.
and a little whisking of clouds in front of Lone Pine Peak again with this arch, which I don't know of any name. People call it Kissing Rocks, but I don't think that we can make up many names, but I'm not going to go there. But I like the way the diagonals of Lone Pine Peak match up, and you need to give them a little room to match up with the edge of this arch, and then the swing and the diagonal to the left of the arch rock, which is granite also.
Mm-hmm.
But it's again timed with the snow right after a snowstorm, and just a gentle clearing, and everything is coated in quite a dramatic situation. This is middle of the morning. This is winter, but middle of the morning, and your light is going around to the left and not high, so it has a trajectory that lends contrast, and I believe this has a polarizer, but I'm not sure. You don't really need it, this kind of a timing.
Sure.
So it's I'm carried away with winter. It's fascinating to me, and this is a good start for a Sierra grouping of images.
Well, what I also think about when I look at this is that the snow has covered the mountains to great benefit for the overall image, but hasn't touched the foreground. And there's a nice contrast with not only the shapes and the diagonals, but also the contrast in the tones.
This is a thing that I've always found lucky, and I've had it a few times in other places, Great Sands National Park, etc., where the snow line is just above you, so if you have any subjects in close, they're free of the snow, so they don't have, when it starts melting, it can be a little rough. This is pure. The snow is right above your head here. The snow line, rather, is right above my head here, and you're looking right up into the fresh snow. So the contrast, again, gives it a separation of form and light. It's kind of I love that too, but it's delicate timing. It doesn't always reach the bottom of the valley, just like Yosemite Valley. You get a whole snow up above and miss the whole valley floor, and it just depends on the temperature and the storm.
Right. Another one of those you won't know if you don't go.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Now a nice detail shot, colorful.
Yes, this is when you're wandering around in a place like the Alabama Hills. Your eye, my eye especially, is looking at things that you have to walk over, you have to walk by. And I'm fascinated by the north sides of many of the granite boulders that are in the Alabama Hills, the layers of lichen, and they develop these great patterns. Just love the pattern of this. And you just literally brush by them. And I find it fascinating to photograph. When I keep looking, you're looking around, always aware of what's around you when you're walking. In winter, you don't have to worry about snakes here, but there are these beautiful things that are right alongside they're right by you. You just have to be aware and keep attentive to what's happening. And this is in the shade, so that the light is even and your textures and designs and color is rendered quite well. Not necessarily vividly, but and this is digital, so it may appear a little strong, but to me it's close to what you actually see when it's in the shade.
Right.
Sunlight does a different thing.
Yes, it does. Well, something you just said kind of reminds me of something I'm always thinking when I'm out and about, when you're amongst all these big, massive mountains and in awe of the scene before you, to not look down or look behind you or that sort of thing. And I find that when I'm hiking back, I make just as many great discoveries, but I'm not looking at those big mountains. I'm looking at the ground, and I guess it sounds like this might have been a similar experience.
Yes, this is. I tend to, if I can, make sure that when I'm in a great place at a great time early, to turn around and look around you, what is right behind you. And yes, you're right. In going back, I found different images in driving back from places. You look at things on a completely different scale, and oh, here. And so you don't give up. You don't think of breakfast and all the amenities right away. Be aware all the way until things get kind of quiet. Maybe it might be noon, or it doesn't matter. It's just hours later. Some of the nicest things pop up when you're letting down a little bit from the drama of early morning or late evening. Look around, be aware of things, and it's exciting and rewarding. Yes. The little things can be so rewarding after the big drama subjects.
It's not really over till it's over.
Yes, yeah.
This is wonderful, and again, not something that a lot of people look for, and
this is an afterthought. This is what I was just talking about before. It's the light is up quite well. I believe it was sunrise. Yeah, because then it's more quiet. This is up in, I believe, Upper Bishop Canyon. You're doing other things, and then you're being aware, and you look for light, and all of a sudden these forms will present themselves just by looking around, and you kind of half finished with your morning session or whatever it is, and look around, and there are things just like the lichen. They're staring at you, and it's just a matter of being aware and using different lenses to. This is more a telephoto, but I just love the way these rocks presented the abstraction against a bright slope of mid-morning or early morning, but it seemed like mid-morning.
Yes, great contrast, and pretty powerful color as well. Now a fine detail. I guess kind of what we've been talking about is don't just look ahead and look behind, but look down.
And watch where you go, yes, because and go back a different way than the way you came, because these subjects are staring at you, and you feel a little bit guilty after a while if you don't stop and do something about it. I have always loved the sage designs in the desert, and the Alabama hills has great sculptured sage. These are dead sagebrush, and of course the design of that sculpture is fine. But then when you have spring and the paintbrush are up early, they come on early in the year, and that's rewarding when you can have them and get them in soft light. So it makes your eye focus and realize that they're delicate things in amongst the harsh landscapes. And this is one of those that, again, very rewarding. And especially if you have a hard time photographing the big subject you planned all week to go see and it doesn't work out, these can pop right out and make your session very rewarding. So it's a matter of looking around and finding composition that you respond to.
Right. And the other thing that I think is interesting here, and you mentioned something about this when I listened to you speak the other night, about color photography that renders almost as if it's black and white, but it's still a color image. And this reminds me of what you were speaking about then. And I mean, you have a black and white image here that has some wonderful color in there.
Yes, you're transposing that very well. That is just an instinct for me. It's just because I started in black and white and shifted over to color, I don't know, somewhere probably in the 60s, and I did, for quite a while, I did both. And so my color was influenced by black and white because of the structure and some of the tones. Color, I've never been a colorist, but then you can't miss when you have paintbrush or other flowers that come out of a very harsh landscape, was seemingly harsh, and it just gives you the contrast of a black and white with the color. I don't see this one being really a black and white image. The sage definitely is black and white. So I just here put the two together for contrast and excitement, a third dimension, more or less.
Well, I think it works very well, and it's a I don't even know if it's a technique. It's just
No,
a
no, it's just
discovery.
responding
Yeah.
discovery. That is really what it is.
Now it's fall time, and I think what I really like about this and feel it's powerful is it's a window, but instead of using stone, you're using trees and leaves in a way to create a window as well.
Well, some of these type of images can be very busy and unpleasant because of too much busyness within subjects. And what is your subject here? Mm-hmm. Well, you could say it's the stream. And to me, for the composition, it's the stream, but it's the quiet light on the beginning of fall. This is a beginning, and it frames enough to where your lines are not objectionable, and yet it's a cramped image. And this is kind of fun. And there are little things you could do to this image to make it a little more appealing and restful, restive, mm-hmm. Instead of busy and dramatic and very masculine. This is a quiet scene that's where you can just float in time and kind of respond to an autumn change, which is very nice for all of us. We all have that same kind of change personally, and this is reflective of that, I think. Yeah. Without being too busy.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to look at this and say, wow. Perfect morning, perfect snow.
Another one of those winter, fresh off a storm. This is where the snow came down all the way across the valley, the Inyo Valley, and you have the same Alabama Hills country, but it isn't necessarily particular mountains. It's just a winter morning mm-hmm. with a storm clearing. This may not be a clearing. This may have been snowing all day.
Oh,
but on the
sure.
east side of the Sierra, it breaks off, and you have those sunrises much more possibly happening. This speaks for itself. It's just kind of great to be there when this is happening. A little nippy, but not really that much in California. It isn't the bitter cold that can be a hindrance, and you just have to plan on it.
Right.
But this is one you can do, work and just feel a little uncomfortable and just enjoy this going on, this mm-hmm. kind of drama.
Nature delivered today. Or
yes.
On
yes.
that day, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Well, this is our final image today, and it's not a location that I've ever seen before. Plus, you've added the star trails, and it's another one that makes me just kind of say, wow.
Yeah, Mother Nature did some etching in the sky. Uh-huh. I guess this is actually from a project, or it went into a project called Daybreak 2000. Mm-hmm. And the beginning of the image, it's a longer exposure, but a little too long. I wish it would have been a little bit darker. The beginning of the image is December 31st, the evening, and ending on January 1st in the morning. And you have both years represented in the same image. And it's, again, triple arch.
Right. So you started the photograph in 1999 and finished in 2000.
Yes.
I'll be darned. The Y2K image.
Yes.
What a great idea. And a powerful image as a result. Very nice.
Very livable.
Yeah.
I've always, that was a pre-visualized image.
Right.
And not perfect, but it was pre-visualized so that it would have that possibility, and you had to do it mm-hmm. on that January 1st. You had to take the photograph. There were photographs taken all over the country, even the world.
I'll be darned.
And you can be a little nervous about cloud formations, but this just worked beautifully. It's just an average, normal day change.
Right. So very powerful and very nice. Well, that wraps it up for our presentation today on the Eastern Sierra, a portfolio that can be found on David Muench's website. And we have the links below to visit David's website, as well as find his brand new book, National Parks, and also his ebook, Top Rock. So, David, thanks again for joining us and sharing another powerful portfolio.
Well, thank you, Charlie. That was very nice. This is one of my favorite landscapes, and I feel very good about sharing this with people because it is one of my favorites. It's personally a favorite.
And it shows. And I'll also mention that you have some workshops coming up in the fall, which include Glacier, Shenandoah, Arches and Canyonlands, and Zion National Park. And those are going to be happening in the fall. So if you'd like more information on that or the books, go to davidmuenchphotography.com, and we have a link below. So thanks again.
Thank you.